Hmm. Say your screen. Are you gonna work now? Yeah, you're working. So, and the delay isn't that bad.
The 4K Logitech Brio, or maybe even the brand new Logitech Stream Cam that I reviewed last month. You're excited, you open the box, you mount it on top of your monitor
Okay.
and add it into
So,
your streaming software,
which of these?
just to be left with a feeling of disappointment because it doesn't look anything like what you thought it would do. Well, fear not, my streaming friends, because in this video we'll be showing you exactly how you can take your webcam from looking like this to looking like this, and we'll be going through all of the improvements
Okay,
that
but
you
if
can
I
make to
talk, how
fix
much
things
louder am
like
I than
low
it?
frame rate, pulsing autofocus, over or under exposure, white
Quite a
balance,
bit better.
washed out or just strange looking colors, and finally, maybe most importantly, how you can actually save these settings so that you don't need to reset them every single time you restart your PC. Just before we get started, I want to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video, Nerd or Die, who have just released their new stream pack called Grid, a minimal impact stream package influenced by streetwear styled graphic design. It features a clean look with bold typography that's available in both Korean and English translations. With overlays, webcam frames, stinger transitions, alerts, and so much more, it contains everything you need for your stream. And as part of Nerd or Die's Supercharged collection, you can install it with OBS Studio, Streamlabs OBS,
I need
or
to
Stream
start
Elements
getting
in
this
just a few
shit
clicks.
going
Check it
so
out
I
and
can
get
sound
10%
like
off using
myself
the link
and
in the
it sounds
description.
good.
Okay, so right now you're looking at the image of the Sony a6400, but I've just plugged
Okay,
in my
so
Logitech
very
Brio, so let's
echoey.
add it as a source in OBS. It's the exact same process in Streamlabs OBS, and let's see exactly how it looks. So we come down to our sources list, click add, video capture device. I'm going to call this Brio. Click OK, and it should find the device. And as you can see, straight off the bat, horrible image, wrong resolution. Sometimes you'll see these colors improve over time because it's using the auto white balance. So very, very red now, but I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 30 seconds it starts to slowly adjust and get my skin tones a little bit more correct. But this is the exact problem, right? Default settings out of the box. You want to repackage up this Logitech Brio
The
or
battery
whatever
panel.
and
That
send
was
it
the
back
other
for a
thing.
full refund because it just looks awful. But hold your horses, we can fix it. So What we're going to do is right click on our source and go to properties, which is going to bring up the camera properties. And the first thing that we're going to fix is this resolution and frame rate. You can see now the colors slightly getting better as the auto adjustments are coming in, but it's still 4:3 and it's not using the right frame rate. So the first thing we want to do is resolution/FPS type. We want to change that to custom. Now we're going to lose our preview just because we haven't got a resolution set. I'm going to set mine to 1920 by 1080, and you should see now we get the 16:9 frame fully filled. Now the Brio, as well as some other webcams, can actually run at 4K, and I wanted to quickly mention why would you want to run your camera at a higher resolution and why would you want to run it at a lower resolution. So firstly, at a higher resolution, it's going to require more processing power from your computer to actually downscale that for your stream and encode it so it goes off.
What's up everybody, my name is Danger Doug, and today what we're going to be doing is talking about a little bit of an issue here and there for audio problems that has come up in OBS. And not too long ago, during one of my streams here and there, a couple of community members brought to my attention that as I was playing Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, that the audio had been in fact echoing here and there in the background. Now for extra context guys, I was actually playing the game on my Xbox One and kind of using my Elgato capture card, the HD 60 standard, and running it through my PC here and there through OBS in order to...
I guess I can carry you if you want.
Now, I think he's only supposed to be like 4 years old here, if I'm not mistaken. Proxima Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, he's like 4.
Yay! Look how high I am! Hey, you perked right up.
Okay, how about... I can just talk and then hear myself in screen.
Sounds pretty crappy, doesn't it? Yeah, I felt so too. And I thought it was distracting enough to the point where I'm like, okay, got to put out a little solution YouTube video for this one. And here's how I
Yeah, it really
solved this
did sound
problem.
crappy.
Let's take a look. Okay, as soon as you get your Elgato capture card all set up and you've also got it as a source in OBS, the first thing that you want to do is click on this little gear icon, and then you want to go to Advanced Audio Properties down at the bottom. By default, all of your audio monitoring should probably read monitor off. Now, essentially put, when you're trying to also hear the game audio here and there, if you're plugged your headphones into your PC, monitor off is not going to allow you to actually hear the gameplay. So essentially, you want to change that, but change it on the Elgato setting. Now, one thing that I was encountering was that if I turned it to monitor and output, essentially that was what was causing my problem with the echo and stuff, because apparently the output was also going into along with the desktop audio, which was also picking up a lot of the game audio. So essentially put with this one, you want to change it over here to monitor only mute output. Now what this is going to do is essentially it's going to allow you to monitor what's going on with the activity from the noise coming from the Elgato capture card, but essentially it's going to mute its output. So essentially you're going to be able to hear the game audio, and the broadcaster is going to pick it up, but it won't be encoding two things at once with your desktop audio or your Elgato capture card. So that's the setting that you really want to use. And then close out of it, and then you're done. From here, you should be able to hear your game audio too, and you should also be able to have it encode just fine with no problems to your stream or anything else. But one thing I also want to point out is there's a couple of other ways to troubleshoot this too, just in case that's not the primary issue. The first thing you want to do is come up to File and then go to Settings, and then go to your Audio tab. Now, usually what I do is I also disable everything else except for the desktop audio, which I have running into my speaker headphones. Same thing with the monitor device. I mean, by default, it's probably just coming up with the default setting, but you can switch it to speaker headphones and see if that actually fixes the trick. But either defaults or speaker headphones, whatever you're running it through, should be just fine. But keep in mind that for speakers, if you're using those, they might actually get picked up by your microphone here and there too, so that might be another cause of your echo here and there. So just be mindful, if you are indeed streaming, it's very advisable to use actual headphones for this operation. And that's it. That essentially solved my problem. Here's what the audio sounded like after we were done with that quick fix.
What is it? It ain't no meteor.
Oh, it's the game echo that was audio.
90% due to encoding lag and computer performance. Now the 5 things I'm going to show you today build on each other and will help you troubleshoot 99% of all your streaming audio issues. So you're going to want to watch all the way to the end to make sure you get all the steps. The first thing you should check for audio issues is the stats window. So while you're live streaming, you go into OBS, you go to view, and then you're going to go to stats, and it's bringing up this stats window right here. You can see I brought this up while I was live streaming, and it shows you the CPU usage that you have over here on the left in the top pane. You have your frames per second, the average amount of time it takes to render a frame, and then you have your render and your encoding lag. And this is going to be shown by frames drop. In this case, I had 21 frames drop from render lag and 0 frames drop from encoding lag. If this is bad for you, one of these will be in red. So now our real options are to go ahead in and resize our stream so that we can actually stream in a proper way. So we're going to go into settings, we're going to go into video. We'll just scale this down to 720. It's okay. We're going to be all right even at USB bandwidth setup. USB buses have a limited amount of bandwidth. And what that means is there's only so many things that you can plug into them and send through them before they get bogged down because there's just too much information. This can become a problem if you're using a separate camera and a separate microphone. If both of them are plugged into the same USB bus, you can definitely have sync issues because the USB system just doesn't have the bandwidth to actually be able to handle it. So what you want to do is make sure that you plug your camera and your microphone into completely different buses on your PC. The way you can do this is if you have a laptop, one will probably be on one side and one will be on the other. Or if you have a desktop, there are some USB buses usually on the top or the front, and then there is of course USBs on the back as well. And if you put your USBs in these different locations, chances are they will end up on completely different buses and you won't run into a bus speed problem. A video about live streaming tools wouldn't be complete without today's sponsor, Envato Placeit. I use Placeit in every live stream for my weight screen, my countdown timer, my branding bumper, as well as my logo and my channel banners, and even some of the overlay assets. They have everything a streamer could need all in one place. Now I created my logo in just a few minutes by choosing from one of the designs and then completely customizing everything from the color graphics and placement to the text and the fonts. And that logo can easily be added to all the videos that you can build and use in all kinds of different content that you might create for YouTube, like live or recorded. I absolutely love Envato Placeit and you will too. Click the link in the description below and check it out for yourself. Supporting the sponsors that support this channel is a great way to help me continue to make content that helps you. So thanks. So you've probably resolved your audio delay issues, but the second common issue is feedback and echoing. The third thing you should check to fix your audio problems
real
is your
person in
headphone
here,
and guest
so-
audio settings. If you want to be bringing on guests, then you're going to need to use headphones. It is what it is.
Apparently
Not
there's
only
a
that,
second-
but the guests that you
I
bring
see
on
two
should be
people on the
using
thing.
headphones. And the reason
It might
why
be
is
one of
because
them was
if
a real
the guest
people,
audio is coming through
but
your speakers,
I
it's going
don't
to feed
fucking
back into
know.
your microphone, and this will cause echo and screeching and all that sort of stuff. And the same thing applies for your guests. If they're listening to the stream, it's feeding back into their microphone. They should be listening to you through their headphones and nothing else. They don't need to see the stream. They should be listening to you. Now, what I've done in some of my streams where the guests might need to see what's actually going on is whatever guest application I'm using, I share my screen with them so that they can see what the stream looks like. They don't need to hear it because they're listening and having a conversation with me. You need to make it clear to your guests that they need to be wearing headphones and they do not need to be listening to the stream. This will solve like almost all of your echoing and screeching problems that you're having on your live streams. And if that's not the culprit, we do need to dig a bit further. The fourth thing we need to check is other audio sources that are on the computer. Here are the two main offenders that can cause echo or feedback on your live stream. So right here I have a live stream running, and this right here needs to be muted. You can't accidentally have this going. If the guest audio is coming through your speakers, it's going to feed back into your microphone or something like that. The second place you have to check to fix the issue is your USB bandwidth setup. USB buses have a limited amount of bandwidth, and what that timer, my branding bumper, as well as my logo and my channel banners. And that logo can easily be added to all the Envato Placeit and you will need to make content that helps you. So thanks.
Started talking about an ad and I tuned you out, buddy.
But the second common issue is feedback and echoing. The third thing you should check to fix your audio problems is your headphone and guest audio settings. If you want to be bringing on guests, then you're going to need to use headphones. It is what it is. Not only that, but the guests that you bring on should be using headphones. And the reason why is because if the guest audio is coming through your speakers, it's going to feed back into your microphone, and this will cause echo and screeching and all that sort of stuff. And the same thing applies for your guests. If they're listening to the stream, it's feeding back into their microphone. They should be listening to you through their headphones and nothing else. They don't need to see the stream. They should be listening to you. Now, what I've done in some of my streams where the guests might need to see what's actually going on is whatever guest application I'm using, I share my screen with them so that they can see what the stream looks like. They don't need to hear it because they're listening and having a conversation with me. You need to make it clear to your guests that they need to be wearing headphones and they do not need to be listening to the stream. This will solve like almost all of your echoing and screeching problems that you're having on your live streams. And if that's not the culprit, we do need to dig a bit further. The fourth thing we need to check is other audio sources that are on the computer. Here are the two main offenders that can cause echo or feedback on your live stream. So right here I have a live stream running, and this right here needs to be muted. You can't accidentally have this going and not be muting your live stream right here. If this is not muted and you're capturing your desktop audio or it's coming through your speakers, it's going to cause all kinds of echo and problems on your stream. So make sure it's muted. In the same vein, if you are in your live stream, like we see right here, and the stream is not muted, or your guest stream is not muted right here, it is also going to cause all of the same kind of problems. And this is the case for any audio that's going to play on your computer. If it's not coming through your headphones and you're capturing desktop audio, it's going to cause problems. Make sure that everything that you don't want to hear or is not part of your live stream is muted. muted on your computer and the computers of all of your guests. And this will solve a large portion of people's echoing audio problems and everything else. There are also miscellaneous issues that some people experience with audio, like static or audio clicking and popping stuff. The fifth thing that you need to check is the condition of your equipment. If you're getting crackling and popping and that sort of thing through your microphone, you really need to check your actual equipment. Usually, if something has a USB input, you want to check and make sure, wiggle around the port that it goes into. See that it's not loose. And then you want to check the cable that you're actually using. USB cables go bad. So you want to check to make sure the connector it goes in is not loose or wiggly. You want to check to make sure the cable is good. You can easily just replace these cables to try another one, and that will verify whether the cable is bad. You also want to check the USB port that you're plugging it into. For XLR microphones, it's the same deal. XLR cables go bad. They're thicker. They get bent or crimped or whatever, and sometimes they don't have a good connection, which can cause crackling. So you want to check all the ports. The same is true on any cable. This one has the cable built right in. You know, if I'm getting crackling and popping, I want to check to make sure that all this is loose. I want to make sure the port I'm plugging it into is not loose or wiggly or anything like that. That's the source of a lot of crackling and popping. The other thing that you want to do is make sure that you adjust the volume on the input in OBS. If you're getting peaking, that could cause crackles and all sorts of popping and that sort of thing. So check your equipment and check your level. Checking those two things should resolve all the crackling and popping and static and anything like that that you're going to get on your microphones. Now with this information, you should be able to troubleshoot any audio issue in OBS pretty easily. But you may be experiencing audio lag, and this could be due to the fact that you have a lot of processing set up on the audio. And if that's the case, you can try this to resync your audio. Okay, so your video and audio are coming into OBS through the same connection. We're going to right click on it and we're going to go to filters, and then we're going to click the plus, and we're going to go to render delay and click OK. And you're going to do this if your video is coming before your audio. So in other words, your video is processing faster than your audio for some reason, and you just use this right here to add a delay to that video so that it lines up with your audio. So if you're hearing your audio before the video is finished processing, or your audio is fast, we need to go down here in our audio mixer, and we're going to click on this little gear button, and we're going to go to advanced audio properties, and right here we can select the audio that we need to delay to line up with the video, and then we can just adjust this by milliseconds, and you're going to be able to line up your audio. Now if your computer is having any kind of problems, needless to say, this isn't going to fix it, because those problems are going to be inconsistent. Sometimes the delay will be shorter or longer. But if your delay is due to the fact that you're putting some sort of audio processing or video processing on your output, well, then either of those could be delayed by a few milliseconds, and this will adjust those properly. If you want to see how to create an awesome
Seems like there's not much of it. I'm gonna click right here. I'm gonna click right here.
My YouTube friends, today's video is sponsored by Envato Place It, but I'll tell you more about that later. Audio can be tricky when you're live streaming. There can be a lot of issues. Wait a second, my audio is out of sync there, right? Yeah, well that's annoying, and I'm gonna show you how to fix that, along with loud screeching, echoing, static or popping, and delays. And those are just a few of the problems that you might encounter. Today I'm gonna tell you the
Yeah. This ain't it, bud. Where are you on the screen? What's this? I don't think I count, but it's possible. No, yes.